we'll give it a go. Out of the final corner we come, and on to the start-finish straight. Green flag waves here, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, ready for round number 3 here of this championship. and the challenge class is underway. In towards the lead, Kevin Hamann takes the green flag first and takes his advantage from pole position into the opening corner. Somebody just running slightly wide there out of turn number 2 as well. De Silva will benefit from that and move up into 5th position, but it's a good start for the pole sitter Kevin Hamann, who gets into the lead and races away early on the opening lap.
And looking at the backpack fanning out one by one, nip and tuck through the field now as everybody's going to settle in. This is a difficult circuit. We do apologize there for the difficulties, and there's the difficulties already to the inside. That's going to be Torrigiani into the grass and having to drop positions like a stone.
Yeah, it's not an ideal start, unfortunately, but we've seen this in the past. And we know that he certainly can come back through the field, even at this circuit, up towards the end of the lap here, round the fast right-hander of turn number 8. And Hamann still holds on to the lead. Alan Hale's pretty closely followed by Ed Trippett, then Rob Gerwin and Antonio De Silva to round out the top 5. Bit wide from Trippett, and Gerwin's going to be right onto the back of him here. De Silva looking down the inside as well there in the green. Didn't seem committed enough though, really. It was a tentative look down the inside. And now here comes Joshua Jefferson in 6th place. Is he going to go anywhere in towards turn 2? Not quite. He stays behind and outside the top 5.
No, Joshua Jefferson, though, hungry for positions. He's a little bit out of where we would expect him. Here's that replay with Torrigiani, and it looks like that was just completely unforced. The back end sort of stepping out on him. The understeer corrected there by the oversteer, or a little overcorrection, I should say. Rejoins the circuit, though, without too much issue. Back to the fight with Antonio De Silva now, Rob Gerwin and Joshua Jefferson, who's down a position from where they started. Antonio De Silva up 2. But Andy McGuinn up 7 positions from where he started, up into 18th. Not bad.
Not bad at all. We've got pit stoppers down at the back of the field, unfortunately, so we'll have some replays to look at a little bit later on when things settle down here. But 4 drivers coming down pit lane after the opening lap of the race. Anthony DiVincenzo was one of them. Aubrey Ayer, Brad Dunn, Lisa Eskridge are also still in pit lane, so they're going to be a long way behind now. At the end of lap 1, they're already going to be a lap down, and it doesn't take very much to go a lap down, in all fairness, around this venue. Here comes Hamann over the line. Hale's right behind him, then Ed Trippett, the top 5 remaining as close as ever. And look at that, there's different lines on the way in towards turn 1 as Alan Hales looks for a way past here, looks for a way through into the lead.
Alan Hales might be thinking about it down into turn 5. That'll be his next best opportunity here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. After that, ooh, it gets awfully close. He's certainly on the hunt there. We're looking, though, at Ed Trippett and Alan Hales. It's a bit of a slipstream train going on right now for everybody. Rob Gerwin, though, just sort of trying to pick up the scraps. So is Ed Trippett. And Alan Hales really needs to be the one to sort of determine what everyone else is going to do, because if he starts going for the move on to Kevin Hammond, that's going to back everyone else up and sort of start that concertina effect where you're going to start to see maybe a little door banging, Ewan.
Yeah, you're going to have to get your elbows out round here, that's for sure. Here comes Ed Trippett on the outside line. Oh, it's a squeeze. And he's not going to find his way through there. He actually look down the inside as well. Not going to make that work. Gerwin just closes in. De Silva leading the rest of them. That's very wide from Hales. Or was it intentional? As he had a look down the penultimate corner there. Maybe it was, but it's not paid off for him. Trippett's getting right to the back of him now. Rob Gerwin as well. Look at this. One long line right the way down the field here inside the top 10. This is very, very close indeed for these drivers, and it's surprising actually they're retaining so close after the opening 3 laps of the race. You don't normally see this, but this is what happens when you battle so hard for the race lead.
And Rob Gerwin there slipping down the inside of Ed Trippett, sort of caught him sleeping at the wheel, to be honest. Ed there needs to be more defensive. I think he got caught with a bit of understeer, and Rob just capitalized with both arms wide open, and he took it firmly. Alan Hales now the next victim ahead, and Kevin Hammond still leading this pack by about 0.8 of a second. Our previous race winner, Dave Douglas, by the way, down in 8th position for the number 42, and a little bit off the back. Oh, goodness. That is going to bring up a couple incident points.
Well, yes, certainly will. That's Lisa Eskridge getting clipped there as well. That's why she had to come down pit lane, but that was on board with Anthony DiVincenzo, who had to return to pit lane after the opening lap. Meanwhile, Alan Hales passes Kevin Hamann into turn 8. And this is Eskridge hitting the wall, unfortunately. That's a shame. indeed. Oh, sorry, that's Jack Stevenson. Eskridge a bit further down the road. This is Aubrey Ayer, who had to pit as well. Sliding and, crashed at turn 9. And a pit stop for the 11 car. No, not quite. Maybe eventually. No, he carries on. So he will persevere with the damage for the moment, although I'm pretty sure he did come in at some point in these past few moments. Dave Douglas, the winner from last round, goes for a big spin down at turn 2. We said it was a flash point, and I'm afraid it's flashed up for Dave Douglas, who is a winner last time out at Portimao. He's down to 16th here in Canada now.
I'm sorry, Dave. You can call that a commentator's curse on me. I feel bad now, to be completely honest, as I just was singing the praises about him, and he goes and throws it all away. That's unlucky. Rob Gerwing, though, up in 3rd position on the hunt now. Our previous race winner going to be down on points, and Rob, one of the heavy points hitters here. Can he bring up a win tonight? Well, right now, he's currently looking in his rearview mirror as Alan Hales is disappearing into the distance.
Yeah, Kevin Haman's suddenly going backwards here. Going and Trippett both go through here into 2nd and 3rd. And Haman suddenly settles in 4th place. And Hales, as you say, is running away at the front now. Then it's Jefferson in line next behind the pole sitter, followed by Antonio De Silva, who's in 6th place. Briefly displaced Jefferson from the position in which he qualified, but he's back there again now. Vernon Messer is there as well, and then just off the back, George Poulos, who's made a pretty good start himself as well. But this is the group, and for some reason, the pole sitter has gone from pretty comfortably holding on to the lead at the start to falling through the field.
Yeah, falling down, unfortunately, like a rock, and having to just contend now on damage control. And we know, we were talking about it a little earlier, and how much just difficult it is to overtake on this circuit. You have to get your elbows out. You have to go for the gold, and even with that, you can end up coming up with tears, to be honest. This is a tough track at the best of times, and even for overtake, or for even just driving it in general, it can be an absolute nightmare.
Certainly can. Now then, Haman is under pressure again here. And what does he do to rectify it? I think Joshua Jepson's just going to be let through here on the outside line, and indeed he is. Haman, for some reason, is getting his white flag out and telling people to go past him at the moment, and I can't quite understand why. He's, the legitimate pole sitter of this race. Whether he was surprised to find himself there and now doesn't really want to wrestle with these guys trying to come through on him, I'm not sure. But at the moment, it feels to me like he's giving up places a bit too easily at the moment.
Could it have been a slowdown penalty, do you think? Or just potentially, being a nice guy? That I'm not sure. But, yeah. I honestly have no idea what happened there, but either way, down into 5th and a long ways away from the top, but currently having to look backwards at De Silva, who we've seen in the past can be quite on the hunt. He is an aggressive one in the best ways possible. Antonio De Silva took a podium in Daytona, finished there, of course, behind Britt Danley and Joshua Jefferson. Britt Danley is one that we haven't seen too much of, to be honest. Where is he at tonight?
Started down the field from memory, in the midfield. Typical now that I'm looking, can't find. Oh, right, that's because Britt Danley's not in the race. Just won that. Oh. I saw them on the grid. Never mind. I'm clearly making things up in my head. That's not unheard of. Meanwhile, De Silva looks down the inside of Haman, but he can't quite do it into turn 8. So Haman willing to give a little bit more trouble to these guys. Maybe he feels like he's found his level, if you like, and wants to hang on to the end of the top 5 and not the win. I don't know. I take your point about slowdowns, because it certainly did look like it a couple of occasions, but surely he wouldn't have got one through Moss two laps in a row. And in any case, I'm not sure where you would get one through Moss Corner, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't know where you'd get one on this track. I mean, you go off the circuit and you're already getting quite the slowdown penalty. So, I mean, it must have been something along those lines. But, one driver that had a bit of an issue earlier on was Patrizio Torrigiani. He's managed to make up to 10th position now for the number 9 car. He's on the hunt and on the back pack as well of pretty much the lead. This is the lead pack, to be honest. You mentioned that it's difficult. The fact that, why am I commentators cursing everybody tonight? Torrigiani clattered into the back by the 86.
Oh, that is a real shame. Stephen Danley it is. Oh, yeah, there he is. I thought he was in the race. He is there. He's unfortunately just got straight into the back of Patricio Torrigiani, who now drops to 16th place. Haman, meanwhile, loses another couple of places to Silva and Messer. There's the flash of the lights, by the way, from Torrigiani, but Haman again losing position in exactly the same place on the run-up towards turn number 8. And at the moment, we don't really have an answer as to why that's happening, but... I mean, I certainly take your point about Torrigiani as you were making it, even though there was an incident immediately afterwards. He was such an entertainer 2 weeks ago. He was fantastic to watch. He was so aggressive with his overtakes, but so effective as well. And unfortunately for him, he's going to have to do it all over again now, because not only did he have that, I think, half spin earlier on, he's now had another incident. Johan Nye, by the way, who clattered into them afterwards, has had to come into pit lane. So that's one free position for Torrigiani, but expect to see him ripping through the field in a few moments. It's
like a yo-yo. You knock him down, or even a horse, knocking him off the saddle, he's going to get right back on the horse. That is so unfortunate. I do feel quite bad. I'm only laughing because I don't know how else to react. Kevin Hammond in 7th position now. He is still falling backwards. What is going on with Kevin Hammond? Is this a setup issue? Is this a pace issue? Is this a track issue? I don't know, Ewan.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, isn't it? It's very puzzling. Very puzzling.
Look to go on board.
Again, he's lost a place there to Marcus Souza in the 8th place now. So Haman loses another place. Yeah, can't explain that one for the moment. We'll try and get more word on that as we get it. Meanwhile, Ed Trivett still holding on to 3rd place as out the pit lane here, right in front of Rob Gerwin, comes one of those drivers who's just made some repairs to the car. Gerwin goes a bit wide, and now lots of lap traffic going to be dealt with by these leaders. This is going to be a problem all day long, you suspect, as the lap time is only just over a minute, don't forget.
This is like Monaco without the barriers, and to be honest, these leaders are going to have to be so cautious, tiptoeing around the traffic. We can see there that is going to be, I think, Lisa Eskridge down a bit further, and she's going to be using the power of sugar and spice and everything nice to try to not cause any chaos or calamity. We're on board now with Britt Danley, who's going into the back of Torrigiani. That's the replay. Yes, this is a replay that caused there Torrigiani to be spun around, unfortunately.
So there's a few answers on that, and Danley indeed losing some front end there through Moss corner. Doesn't look like he came into pit lane afterwards. Oh no, excuse me, did only for a drive-through penalty. So I suspect there may have been an adjudication from race control after that, although I can't say that for certain. At the moment, it certainly appears to be that way. Well, a shame to see a couple of incidents early on, but we did expect it to happen in some form or another. Luckily, 21 drivers are still out there and on the lead lap. There is one of the drivers still getting repairs, Anthony Di Vincenzo, who has been in there for nearly 3 minutes now, and is right down at the back of the field in 24th position. There were always going to be injured cars at the end of the opening 15 minutes, that's for sure.
Yeah, one driver, though, we're taking a look at right now is Ed Trivett. He is doing a stellar job right now, sort of just plucking away. I want to say one of the dark horses for the night. His qualifying, where did he end up? He started qualifying in 3rd, and he stayed in 3rd, actually. Oh, goodness, that's Antonio de Silva, who's been spun around as well and faced the wrong way into the grass. Rejoins the circuit very swiftly, but thankfully onto the inside. No one going to be getting involved here. He rejoins, though, Ewan, down in 9th.
Yeah, that's a disappointment for him. Let's see how it happened again here on the brakes. Oh, dear. Contact with Jefferson, who spins around himself as well and has to reverse out the way there to Silva. Jefferson gets back going again in 7th place, and right now this would become a drop round for him, but far bigger things to worry about, I think, is maybe the behaviour of the rear end of that car now. Is there any damage? It certainly looks like De Silva's all over the place. Whether that's because he's just getting back up to speed or whether he's got front end damage, I'm not entirely sure, but we are just about 15 minutes into the 3rd round of the season here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This is the pole sitter, Kevin Haman, unfortunately, now going for a spin through turn 2, and unfortunately he is now well outside the top 10.
Yeah, falling down the order there, unfortunately, and having to go back now and look for a bit of a recovery drive. So is De Silva. So is, to be fair, so many drivers. And, you know, we saw right there the falling and the faltering of Josh Jeppesen, who is one of the favorites for the championship. And this, you mentioned, is more than likely going to be one of his drop rounds. Having to use it in round 3 is less than ideal. This is another replay of exactly what I'm just talking about. So that's Jeppesen ahead, Antonio De Silva there into the back, and hopefully Jeppesen, like you said, doesn't have that rear damage. These Porsche 992s, they are a little bit less lively when it comes to their rear end than their predecessor, the 991. The engine tilt back just a little bit, and it's slightly bigger with more power, which is a whole nother problem. But all things considered, he seems like he's managing for now.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a classic misjudgment on the brakes there, unfortunately, down at Moss Corner, and that was that for those two. They dropped down the field. Jeppesen has got back up to speed quite well. John Kaplan is just in 8th behind him, as you can see here, and Andrew Hillman just there as well. This is De Silva coming down pit lane, and back out again. These are live pictures, by the way. And he comes out onto the track again in 16th place. Whether he'll make it home, I'm not sure. Well, it doesn't matter. Actually, he's only having a drive-through penalty, excuse me. So that's from race control. Once again, no need to worry about that for the moment. No fuel stops have been realistically made. Just over 16 minutes into this race, and time to remind you, of course, that we're thrilled to have Princess Cruises as the 2025 PCA title sponsor. As the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13, they provide exclusive offers, including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships sailing to more than 330 global destinations. Reach out to the PCA concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. Well, just 17 minutes gone in this race, and Alan Hale still leads the way by just over 3 seconds. This is the battle for 8th, though, between John Kaplan and Andrew Hillman, just on the back of series leader Joshua Jeppesen. These two have made some good progress, though, to start with. The positive thing for them is that they haven't really been on our screens, which is a good thing when you're trying to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, trying to stay out of the wrath of Mike Noss is what the goal is for tonight. It seems Joshua Jeppesen carving his way back through the field like a Thanksgiving turkey, or at least doing what he can to do so. Up into 7th position right now, and he has 16 seconds, though, to Vernon Messer, who is ahead. No, excuse me, though, that's to the leader. My apologies. So he's got about 5 seconds to Vernon Messer ahead, who Vernon is currently locked up with Souza. So they will be sort of getting reeled back in a 3-way fight potentially on the cards, but the gap getting extended. So Jeppesen really needing to hold on here, keep that head down and keep the pace up. But we still know he has that rear end damage, and is that going to be playing a role? 2 battles on screen, though. You in a 3-way fight for 10th and 2 for 8th.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Side by side, up in towards turn 8. A tentative look down the inside from Hillman. He can't do it quite. Torrigiani as well, really looking at Robert Gallish's 10th position, and Dave Douglas just in behind. Good recovery actually from Douglas. Always worry after a spin that tyres are going to overheat and motivation goes down, but Douglas has actually recovered really well from his spin down at turn number 2. We'll be hoping not to replicate it. Rob Gerwin, unfortunately, has gone for an incident. He's dropping down the field, I'm afraid, at the moment. He's back onto the circuit now, and there he is, I think, on the left-hand side of turn 2. He may have even found the barrier, but it's turn 2 again. The downhill left-hander that's claimed another victim by the looks of it.
So gutting. Rob Gurring qualified in 4th position. He was running so well up to this point, and having clattered into the wall, he's more than likely going to have to take a trip down pit lane. We'll be keeping an eye on that car body language, though, to see if it is going to be bad. He's right on the back of Andrew Hillman, who we know has had their issues in this race as well. So we'll see if they can get on by. It's going to be time, though, not in favor of really anyone, but especially Rob Gurring right now, as there is that completely unforced error. He kept his foot in it, tried to save it. The car snaps back. You can see him wrestling the octopus, car flying off to the infield, and so far he actually did a great job of keeping it out of the barrier.
That was going all over the place there, and unfortunately he couldn't quite gather it up quickly enough there, and he drops down outside the top 10 now. excuse me, outside the top 5. He's just inside the top 10 there in ninth. You can see him in the red and white just in behind there. Gallus is under a lot of pressure now from Torrigiani. He's looking so strong, Torrigiani. If he can just cut out some of these mistakes from his races, he could have a real performance here. And there he was out of turn number 1, just having a small look, but he couldn't do it. Gallus hanging on for the moment in 10th position. Torrigiani with a better run now through turn 3, but it's difficult to have a look down the hill there at turn 4 and in towards 5. So we'll see where he gets to. Diving into the corner, has a look, can't do it for the moment, but you can just see how much quicker he is. So racy.
He's had to do this once before, he's had to do this twice, and this being the 3rd time isn't going to come up lucky. Let's find out. Torrigiani has gone down the order a couple times, and he wants to stay up at the top. Currently out of the top 10, but looking to break his way in. More than likely not going to be at the end of this straight into turn 8 is not the best overtaking chance. You can see, though, as he kind of lumbers the car into the back now, settles it in, tries to prioritize the exit rather than the entrance. It's all about maximizing your minimum speed. Maybe down the start-finish straight? No, it's a little too short for that. Your best chance going to be down into turn 5, Moss Corner.
Yeah, it's one of those circuits where there aren't any absolutely clear-cut, glaring you in the face chances, but there are a couple of decent ones here and there. Certainly one of those circuits where overtaking is very much possible. Off the road, just in front of Joshua Jefferson there, was one of the lap cars by the looks of things. We have, by the way, only 20 on the lead lap compared to the 25 that started the day, so you can see why lap traffic is going to be a problem here tonight. Joshua Jefferson leads a very large train of drivers indeed, from 6th place right the way down to 12th place pretty much here. These 7 drivers are covered by way less than 7 seconds, and there they are all in that shot there.
And Lisa Eskridge moving over very gracefully to the side and letting all of the lead pack by. No issues to be found there. She's just going to settle on in to the pack at the end there and use them as a little bit of a helping hand to get her back potentially into the fight, at least for a couple positions. A long ways away. Let's see, Lisa Eskridge down a lap from Brad Dunn, so just really needs to settle into that backpack, use them as some slipstream, and find their way in the race later on. As Torrigiani, did he just fly off the circuit again in the background? This is an Italian stallion that is raging right now.
That would be a real shame if indeed it was, and it looks like it, I've got to say. Down to 12th position. It's not a disaster. Only Dave Douglas has overtaken him, but even so, terrible news for Torrigiani, who now will be comfortably running outside the top 10. Unfortunately, Jepson's just getting a bit of breathing space here. You just sense he's sort of regathered himself a little bit now, and he's starting to pull away. Kaplan without a great line through Moss Corner there, not able to stay close. Andrew Hillman certainly is. This is another look. Oh, he just got the turn in wrong there. Douglas got into the back of him eventually, but that wasn't the reason that he went off. Torrigiani there was trying so hard to get the cut back on Gallez. It looked to me there whether he just smashed the curb on the inside and misjudged his line through there almost.
Yeah, I'm not even sure Dave Douglas actually ended up making contact. If it was just the slightest little bits, but certainly that was on the fault there of Torrigiani, a self-inflicted error. And that's just the nature of these rear-engine cars. I mentioned it earlier, but they're so snappy. They can go from crippling understeer to violent oversteer very, very fast, especially when you start to go and try to save them. We saw that earlier with, who was it that ended up saving the car in a most brilliant manner?
Yeah, Goen, I think, referencing that. Bob Goen, yeah. 9th place. He hasn't quite regathered himself just yet, but you get the feeling he might do in the next few laps of this race. 36 minutes still to go here, by the way. Plenty of time to resolve these battles before the race's conclusion. Now through to off in the background. Just as I said, Goen was regathering himself. He goes off down at Moss Corner there. I'm not willing to take responsibility for it, but I might be. Might be responsible. Rob Gerwin just slightly wide, and what we were talking about earlier on, you've got to make Moss Corner effectively one long right-hand turn. I know it's double apex there through turn 5 and turn 6, but actually what you've got to do is just make it a smooth arcing corner. But as you're doing that, you're getting dangerously close to the grass on the outside, which can pull you off very easily. This is what Dave Douglas saw of Torresiani's incident, by the way. You've got more of a slide than I imagined, actually.
Yeah, there was way more contact than I had in mind, actually. That even pushed to the front bumper in there slightly. Much more than I expected, but all things considered, I don't think it's going to be affecting Douglas too much, and I don't think it's going to be affecting Torresiani himself either. Douglas, though, into pit lane. No, it must have been. So Dave Douglas into, clearly had enough with the damage, and DiVincenzo was going to be joining him very shortly.
Oh, dear me. Backwards. Facing the wrong way with a bit of a gap in the traffic for him to get back involved again, which is good. There's Dave Douglas on pit lane. Now, this is early, but it's not out of the question that you can get home from here. Unfortunately, his pit stop's looking on the longish side at the moment. We'll see just how long it actually is at the very end of the stop, of course, but we'll keep an eye on that. We are certainly in the window now where stops can be made and you can make it to the end. With the added bit of fuel for this season compared to Series 12, you can actually make it quite far on fuel now, which as a result means it goes the other way too. You can pit a bit earlier than you used to as well, as Hillman has a look at the inside of Kaplan. Can't go through on that occasion.
No, not just yet, and absolutely this might be the time for Hillman to potentially pull into pit lane. He doesn't on this lap, maybe a little early, but on the next lap and pretty much for the next 3 laps, we're going to see everyone kind of barreling on into lane. It's that kind of halfway point pit stop that you often do expect, that I love seeing, of course. Very strategically original, but no, it's I kid, of course. It's just the way to go. What's optimal is what's optimal. I'm not going to be the judge of that, but little early there from Douglas. He had to take that repair, but he'll be back out on circuit with some new fuel and good to go to the end. So we look up here towards the front, Trippett. He's starting to feel some pressure now from behind Poulos.
Absolutely. George Poulos has made a really good start to this race, and he's racing his way through the field. Whether he's going to be able to catch Alan Hales isn't even out of the question at the moment, because there's still over half an hour to go in this race. Up towards the top of the hill they go. Now in towards turn number 8, Ed Trippett is under some serious pressure. Goes a little bit wide through there, but you can gather it back in time for the penultimate corner as Poulos just backs off a little bit through there. Maybe not quite as confident, just taking a bit of a different line, I don't know, but he's looking to regather himself. There's Ed Trippett in the bottom right of your screen in the VR headset. To fend off Poulos, and this is a big new challenge for Ed Trippett, of course. Poulos started the race quite a long way further back and has only just arrived to the back of the 14 car now, looking for second place.
Also using that Fanatec, that Porsche wheel. You love to see that in the virtual reality, in the fight of his life right now. Not only does he get to drive this in real life in behind the front windscreen, he also gets to do it virtually as well. And this is what he lives for. Ed Trippett looking to his rear view mirrors of Poulos. Now this is, as you mentioned, allowing Alan Hales to sort of slip off away into the Canadian sunset. Is that going to be enough? Because George Poulos, if he does get by, we're more than likely going to see Ed Trippett trying to respond back with some battle. So has this been, I don't want to say just them conceding the lead just yet, but certainly maximizing their short term versus their long term, I would say, Ewan.
Absolutely. There's the split screen. There's the action on at the moment in today's race. Battle for second place between Ed Trippett and George Poulos at the top, and the train from 6th place, stemming from Joshua Jefferson, our tied championship leader, and right now would come out as the championship leader, by the way. If Dave Douglas doesn't win this race, in fact, then he is the series leader. That's the lead that he's got, or Stephen Downley, in which case it could be a tied championship lead again, but either of those two have got to win the race. That's the strength of Joshua Jefferson's season so far. Right now, even this would become his drop week, even though he is currently running in 6th place. He has got John Kaplan, Andrew Hillman and Rob Gerwin right behind him, though. This is not the sort of dominant performance that or relatively dominant performance we saw at Daytona by any means. This is not the solid consistency we saw at Portimao. This is it looks a bit more of a struggle for Jefferson this week than it has been maybe in the last 2.
It was, but you can knock him down, but he's just going to get right back up. Almost like an anime character. Oh my goodness. In the background, we see the fight between Rob Gerwing and Andrew Hillman. Some side-by-side action from the two. It's going to be the long way around for Gerwing. He's, going to collect the back bumper all of the time, Ewan. You have to leave it a space.
Yeah. And it's especially crowded off of Moss Corner as well down there, I'm afraid. And Hillman certainly felt that. What a big shame for Hillman, who has got serious damage. Look at him on the back straight there. He's got serious damage. It looks like Rob Gerwin has got away with it to a degree, but I'm afraid Hillman certainly hasn't, and he'll be in the pit lane at the end of this lap.
Yeah, certainly. We'll have to catch a replay just to kind of judge exactly what happened there. Of course, the stewards are already on it, I'm sure, and we'll be seeing potentially a penalty heading their way. I couldn't quite tell if that was a racing incident or not, all things considered, but what it has allowed is Trigiani up for a couple positions for free. He's managed to get to 8th position now, and looking ahead to John Kaplan for 7th here, though, Ewan, is the replay.
On the inside from going initially. So this is a decent move in towards Moss Corner. This is how to do it. Outside line. Crowd the other driver on the inside. That's all fine. Hillman now still on the outside line. And now you've got to leave space, as you say. Now, does Gerwin move from the white line on the left-hand side of him? Does he move right? Or does Hillman move left? Or both, if in which case both. It'd be a racing incident, of course. But if one of them moves towards the other, then they're going to land themselves in some trouble for that.
Yeah, I find it very hard to place it on Hillman. I find it easier to say that that was the fault of Gerwing, but could potentially be judged as a racing incident. It's hard to call. It's a matter of was he supposed to be there or not? And Gerwing did give him a squeeze. There's no denying that fact. That's where I'm inclined to say he did not leave space. Holy send, Batman, no! Whoa. Ended up in disaster, as that's going to be Ed Trippett driving off the circuit, and that was Vernon Messino's George Poulos that had the send of the lifetime, but he couldn't keep all 4 wheels on the tarmac.
No, and he's losing places now. Is Ed Trippett as well. He went off the road, and Marcus Souza is going to say thank you very much to the both of them here. He moves up to 2nd place now in the field, just ahead of Trippett, then Vernon Messer, who's 4th, and George Poulos is still in the top 5, and no doubt his speed will still be there, but it was a big moment. He's in the dark blue and purpley car on the inside line, as you say, sending it up the inside, but too much send. Trippett didn't actually have anywhere to go on the outside line there, and Poulos himself went in with too much speed.
And he left a little bit of body work there for some of the marshals to take home as well. Unlucky or unfortunate there. Trippett making the best of a bad situation. He rejoins in 3rd with Marco Souza, who is an absolute dark horse. I don't even think we've mentioned Marco Souza yet tonight. Where the heck did he even qualify? I'm trying to look at my sheet right now. He qualified all the way down in 13th.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? Some of the progress that some of these drivers have made, absolutely remarkable. Before this race kicks off again and anything else happens, let's take time, of course, to remind you that we're thrilled to have Princess Cruises as the 2025 PCA title sponsor, as the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13. They provide exclusive offers, including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships, sailing to more than 330 global destinations. Reach out to the PCA concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. So, less than half an hour to go. Word through from race control. Apparently there was netcode involved in the Hillman incident, which saw him end up in the wall, and so no penalty adjudged to either Hillman or Gerwin because of that fact, and I totally can understand race control's viewing on that point, having seen the picture of it from an angle. So no penalty for Gerwin for this incident here.
Yeah, and I mean, if that was netcode, I absolutely agree. So let's see here as we go into it. Let's dissect where the netcode exactly took place, and I presume that it was on this exact moment. So with that overlap, we're on board with Gerwing right there. I'm assuming that Gerwing probably didn't have the netcode. It more than likely came from Hillman, who thought that he was a little bit further back, but who knows? That's unfortunately them's the breaks when you're racing on the internet, and when it comes to simulation racing, incidents like that happen, Ewan.
They certainly do, unfortunately. But everybody is aware of the rules of the game before they start, that's for sure. As Robert Galles, hits the wall out of turn 2. Turn 2's been the real problem here this afternoon, hasn't it? That's no surprise, I suppose, but maybe the amount of drivers ending up in the wall down there is. He gets himself back going again. He's currently running 19th in live pictures, by the way, after that spin down there. Meanwhile, Ed Trippett has not really been able to regather himself after going off the road on the outside of George Poulos. He's got Vernon Messer and Poulos again on the back of him. Marcus Souza, who only just overtook him after that incident, has completely gone.
Yes, he certainly has. 2.5 seconds now, 3 seconds up the road. Vernon Messer has a new victim potentially here, and it's Ed Trippett. I'm wondering if there was some damage. There shouldn't have been much damage. The other thing to mention is we still need to see these drivers come down pit lane at some point, do we not? As I think most of these drivers have yet to stop.
You are indeed correct. The top 13 have yet to come in, along with Jack Stevenson as well, who's not in the top 13, but also hasn't stopped just yet. So
who's that?
Right. Sorry, I didn't see what.
Was that it must have been a back marker that was, or was that? It wasn't none of the front. Okay, that was one of the back markers. Unfortunately, spun around, facing the barrier. Never a position you want to be in. You can't park there, mate.
Apologies, I was looking at the timing screen to see who I'd pitted and who hadn't, so I missed that. Apologies. Torrigiani, meanwhile, loses a position again to Britt Danley, and it looks like Torrigiani is dropping down the field again. Now let's hope that's just a scheduled pit stop and not an incident, but I have a feeling it may be the former, or whichever way around I said. Anyway, it's an incident, I think, for Torrigiani. He's dropped outside the top 10 again here, which is a real shame for him, and he's continues to drop down. Andy McCune is also dropping down. We'll get those replays queued up in a few moments' time. With just less than 24 minutes to go. When are these guys going to come into pit lane? It's open for everybody, and we're in the window, but no takers just yet. This is what happened to Torrigiani, and it's turn 2 again.
It's through the long downhill understeer. Holy smokes! Racking up his frequent flyer miles was Torrigiani. Rejoins the circuit presumably with no issues, but his spine is going to need some rearrangement, and he might be needing to see a chiropractor after that one.
Well, certainly a interesting interaction with the bump. There's Andy McCune's reason for dropping down the field. Turn 2's absolutely lethal, isn't it? Absolutely astonishing. The way that has gone here today. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say the reason that is of course, I don't know if we can go on board with maybe somebody that's going through that corner at some point, but you'll be able to see that there's about 150 feet of elevation here at this track, and a good majority of it comes through turn 2 on that descent. You come out of a right-hander from turn 1, and now all of a sudden you have to settle it down, get that car on this weird double apex. It's an awkward corner, and it's off camber. Double apex, it's just a recipe for driving straight off the track and or giving it too much throttle, trying to correct your understeer, and that is an issue. But look at this little ding-dong fight for 6th position, as it looks like Jeppesen, he cannot catch a break tonight.
No, he can't get away from anybody either, and now he's going to do so by pitting in. So is this the smart thing to do? Can't beat them on circuit, so let's try and beat them in the pit lane instead. Still waiting for the top 10 to come in. The entirety of the top 10 yet to have come in just yet. Having said that, Jeffrey Block and Evan Balbier have pitted a very long time ago. I'm not sure they're going to make it on fuel. Johan Nye pitted 20 laps ago. Not sure he's going to make it either, but we'll see on that. We'll see if they try and do something here in the next 22 minutes as we go back to the battle for third again. This is not going away for Ed Trippett, unfortunately for him, as Vernon Messer and George Poulos continue to queue up behind him. He clips the curb on the inside there through turn 5B, and that could be a problem for his run onto the back straight. Here's the rejoin for Jeppesen. Where's he going to be? He's behind Johan Knight, so if he's going to the end, then that's true. Dave Douglas goes past as well. Wow.
Yeah, Jeppesen getting a little bit of just losing out there from the pit lane slightly. We'll see if any of these drivers, though, do come in. There he is, or excuse me, yeah, there is going to be Jeppesen rejoining the circuit now in clean air. I'm wondering if there was that damage, of course, that he picked up earlier that caused a little bit longer of a pit stop. That could have played a role, but here is, surprisingly, 2 drivers from that battle, both Vernon Messer and Ed Trippett, and I expected one, but not both.
Yeah, interesting that they've decided to follow each other in. There's Not much benefit that I can see to that, but anyway, they'll be well ahead of Jefferson, who has made an over half-minute pit stop there. Very puzzling indeed, but the championship leader is going to be taking a bit of a hit in the points by the looks of things here. There's the comparison between Trippett and Messer down on pit lane. 17.3 for Trippett. It's way quicker than Vernon Messer. Way quicker. He seems to still be on the jacks there, Messer. I wonder whether he was taking 4 tyres. 21 seconds there for him. Ed Trippett is going to be comfortably in a position here to defend his 3rd place, I believe, unless George Poulos is going to do some sort of overcut here.
Yeah, I certainly hope that there was no tires being taken there in the pit lane. There's no need for the 60-minute race. These Porsches should be able to manage it. By the end of it, you're not going to be too happy on your tires, but we can see that some drivers actually, have made their pit stops. Excuse me, that's all that counter is. It's not saying if they change tires. I don't know why my mind went there, but we can see some of the drivers that have made their stops. So Carl Best still needs to come in, Jack Steffens, and all of our leaders in the top 5.
Absolutely. Here comes Marcus Souza up on the jacks briefly as well. That's his pit stop going to be complete. Now, will he be ahead of Ed Trippett or not here? You'd imagine so, but things have happened. I mean, the pit stop for Jefferson was really long. So let's just keep an eye on this. Souza, 17 seconds in the box. That should be fine. Rob Gerwin follows in, and we'll be dropping even further behind, but Souza back out onto the circuit, should be 2nd at the end of this. There goes Going up onto the Jackson, should be behind the likes of Trippett. And Souza makes his way out pretty comfortably on his own. Looks like it's going to be a 2nd place finish for him if he can just hang on for the next 19 minutes or so. Going pits for 15 seconds, drops out just in behind Trippett and Messer. And Barbier and Best, we believe, haven't stopped yet. This is Alan Hales coming in. That was a very slow pit entrance, but I suppose he just doesn't want to speed on pit entry there.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race. The saying is old as time in Alan Hales. He knows that he's in a good position to do so and just needs to keep it within the limits. He had a 10-second lead at the into the pit lane, or before the pit phase started, so quite comfortable. Here's George Poulos down the start-finish straight and is going to be taking the lead here for a little bit. He's going to be our last driver that needs to make a stop out there tonight.
And he has the honour of leading a lap or two. Should be nice for him, especially considering where he started the race. I'm not sure he would have been expecting that particularly when he started out here tonight, but here he is in the lead of the race with 18 minutes still to go. Antonio De Silva has already been down pit lane once, but that was for a drive-through penalty, so he's yet to come in from 3rd, and Carl Best has yet to come in at all. He is down in 8th. Evan Barbier came in nearly 30 laps ago. I can't see that lasting right the way to the very end. We saw, you can see Johan Nye has been out there for 23 odd laps as well as Carl Best comes in. So Nye might have to come in too. We will wait and see on that front, but it looks like the pit stops have split the field apart just a little bit here. Johan Nye's in 8th place ahead of Robbie Gerwin. Then it's Dave Douglas just in behind. That's one of the only battles left out on the circuit now as Dave Douglas continues his recovery.
I think what's caused this is just light little taps. Oh, Johan Nye with who's that behind him? That's going to be Rob Gerwin, excuse me. That's having a big moment, manages to catch the car before it clatters into the barrier. Think there was minimal damage, but it's exactly moments like that, Ewan, that are causing these drivers to have extended pit stops. They're staying in the lane for 8 seconds more than their opponents, 7 seconds more than their opponents, and seconds, they add up into minutes, and of course, we're seeing large gaps out on track as a result.
Yeah, it's been a few incidents, unfortunately, for Gerwin here so far tonight, which is a real shame for him. Now George Poulos does come in along with Antonio De Silva, and look at this, Poulos is getting out pretty quickly here. I thought he would be in the battle and maybe even behind the likes of Souza, Trippett, Messer, but no, he's made some real speed here when he's been on low fuel, out on his own, out front, and he has got into 2nd place once again. He has been here briefly before, but now he can maybe think about chasing Alan Hales as much as he's probably going to run out of time for that. That's a very good pit stop cycle indeed, showing the effects of an overcut in these types of series. I always talk about the undercut in series like Formula 1 on new tyres and whatever. It's the overcut in this series. Low fuel, making speed while your others have just filled up again and getting used to a higher fuel load all over again. And George Poulos has made that work absolutely wonderfully.
certainly has. George Poulos from 11th position, by the way. That's where he started this race. And if we could just pull up that gainers page as well at some point here, just to see exactly one of those that started all the way back in 13th position. So up a similar amount of positions, but just I think a little bit more actually than George Poulos. Alan Hales has been comfortably in the lead for a good majority of this race. But remember, he did start second. It was Kevin Hammond that started first. And where is he? He's down in 16th position.
Yeah, remarkable. The way that these races can change from start to finish is unbelievable sometimes when you just look at the two result sheets and put them side by side. Torrigiani versus Hillman now down the back straight again as well here. Torrigiani has not quite been as vibrant as he was 2 weeks ago, but he's making up positions here and trying to get back into the top 10. I think that could be tricky, but either way he's doing his best. Here he is passing Hillman towards turn 4 and 5. Big move round the outside, late braking manoeuvre. Had to get his elbows out a little bit, but when don't you round here? Got through on the inside. That was a very impressive move, actually.
That's how you get a move done here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Through turns 5A and then setting it up onto the exit of 5B, down the Mario Andretti straight and taking that position away. This is the 4th time that we tonight have had to say that we're going to be trying to see the Italian stallion claw his way back into the top 10. Torrigiani has a bit of work to do still, up into 12th. Joshua Jeppesen also trying to get back into the top 10. Antonio De Silva also, well, he is in the top 10, but trying to get his way back into those single-digit positions.
Yeah, Dave Douglas has been making the progress here, and he's up to 7th place now. For one final time here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, we'd again like to remind you that we're thrilled to have Princess Cruises as the 2025 PCA title sponsor. As the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13, they provide exclusive offers including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships sailing to more than 330 global destinations. Reach out to the PCA concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. Just 13 and a half minutes to go, and there is Dave Douglas. There he is in the main part a few moments ago, but Douglas in live pictures is actually up to 7th position now. Oh, he's just lost a place to Rob Gerwin. We'll see that, and there's his reaction on the bottom right. It looked like, from what we can see on the bottom right there, perhaps it was an error through turn number 3, or was it a pass from Rob Gerwin? We're in replay effectively in the main part there, so we might be able to see in a few moments' time. But anyway, Dave Douglas back down to 8th position again, looking to consolidate the win from Portimao with a good top 10 here, and it looks like he's going to achieve that.
It's been a hard race for Dave Douglas. He's gone down the order. He's gone back up the order. That's been the story for a lot of drivers tonight, but it's certainly nothing to shake a stick at. And Dave Douglas, I don't know if you noticed it, but there was just in that replay, I'm sure when he lost the position or gained the position, he just had a little tiny half smile on one of the corners of his mouth. It wasn't a smile. It wasn't a smirk. It was just a half smirk even at that. But that just goes to show you these drivers, despite the fact that they're out there giving it their all in trying to win this race, they're having fun, Ewan, and that's what this league is all about, is go out there, have a good time in the Porsche Championship, and go out there and give it your all.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Now then, battle for 4th place between Ed Tribbett and Vernon Messer. Messer has been on the back of Ed Tribbett for quite a while now, including in this run as well, in this second run of the race just after the pit stop phase. Just less than 12 minutes to go, and Messer is now moving to the outside line on the way towards turn 4. There could be a chance down here for him to pass, perhaps. Here he goes. Is he alongside enough? Is he preventing Tribbett from getting to the racing line? It certainly looks like it. If he brakes late enough, he can hang it round there, but it's very difficult. If you're barely alongside, you're not going to be finding your way around the outside of turn 8 too easily. Can he fire down the inside of the final corner? The answer to that one's no as well, by the looks of it. He's now finding the difficulties of overtaking around this circuit is Vernon Messer. He's finding this relatively difficult. Still can't quite do it for the moment. Here's Lisa Eskridge going for not her first spin, unfortunately, here tonight. That is going to drop her even further down. Meanwhile, Marcus Souza has also been off. This is now a battle for the podium in the bottom right.
Oh, here we go. I got to give some style points to Elisa Eskridge. That was a cool spin, and she held her brakes, all things considered. But now Vernon Messer onto the back of Ed Trippett. He is going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint now as they go through turns 2 into turns 3. Quebec corner up the hill. And this is where the things get interesting potentially, and down towards turn 5. You can see this is the replay. Marco Souza, full send into the Aramco, and that is going to be more than likely another trip down pit lane. But here, though, Ewan Vernon Messer, is he going to be lining it up and sending it onto Ed Trippett? Yes, he is.
Oh, he has a look again here. But no, not this time. 10 minutes to go, and he's going to be running out of ideas, running out of time here to make this overtake. Through the final corner, he comes. It's a good run again, but where do you make the move? At turn 1, there's very little braking zone. Dave Douglas, by the way, dropped a couple of places in the last couple of moments, and this is why. Saw somebody spinning in front of him, went for a spin of his own. Fortunately, there's a big enough gap back to Josh Jefferson that he didn't lose another place, but he has dropped to the lowest point in the top 10 now.
It's a good thing we didn't have the face cam on for that. Vernon Messer, though, looking like a new license plate for Ed Trippett, and Ed Trippett looking like quite the tasty morsel ahead. Vernon Messer on the hunt like a lion through the Serengeti. Down the hill once more. Is he going to send it into turn 5? No, he's too far back. Or is he going to send it into the back bumper? Almost literally a new license plate in that case. But now back onto the Mario Andretti straight. Like you said, Ewan, where do you make your move?
That was that was very nearly contact down there. Thankfully we get away with it. Yeah, it's just so difficult, isn't it? There's so little opportunity around this circuit. It's so narrow everywhere, and the overtaking chances you do have, there's either not much of a braking zone like there is up here, or there's not much space like there is down at Moss Corner. And the other chances, well, they're only half chances, if that, depending on where you are in relation to the driver you're trying to overtake. Very, very difficult indeed if you're Vernon Messer in this situation. On board the bottom of your screen we go. Vernon Messer only did the second round of the championship. Wasn't at Daytona, by the way. Managed to get himself a top 10 in 2 weeks ago, though. You go a little bit better this time by getting a top 5 and maybe even a podium place here in 8.5 minutes time. The options are just running out for him here, though, through turn 3. Again, not a good enough run, I should say, out of here to really make a move work down into Moss Corner again.
No, too far back, and we saw the last time he was about that distance. It almost went stoving into the back bumper there, but no, keeps it out. Gets a good entrance, though, and a good exit on the corner, so this could line him up maybe for turn 8, but it's such a tough corner. Love the double on board here as well. We get the bonnet cam as well as that third perspective, and this really gives you a better feel for that elevation that these drivers are facing. And the slipstream, look at how powerful it's going to be. There's a thought to the inside from Vernon Messer, but he's going to have to back out, and he knows it. Ewan, that's not a braking zone. That's just basically flat out, more or less, or a slight little lift. This could potentially be on, but still into the final few corners, there's no dice.
Oh, he's wide as well. Just slightly in the grass there through the final corner. And Vernon Messer will be going nowhere. In terms of other battles on the circuit, by the way, there is pretty little. Patricio Torrigiani has managed to catch up to Josh Jefferson here, and that is a good effort from Torrigiani. He's not that close behind him at the moment. He's sort of there or thereabouts. Carl Bess and Jack Stevenson for 18th place is also a nose to tail at the moment as well, but not too many battles going on quite for the moment. So we bring this race almost to a close. Alan Hales currently leading the race, and he's being caught a little bit by George Poulos, just not enough for that to really be a battle before the end of this race. Again, same old story at the top of your screen. Can Torrigiani write a different one, maybe, in the battle for 11th?
This is two drivers on a redemption arc right now, and it seems that only one of them can have their day in the top 10. And is it going to be Torrigiani? Is it going to be Dave Douglas? Dave has had his issues, but up in third position there we see it from from Vernon Messer potentially. And oh my goodness, there, Torrigiani has another incident.
Yeah, I think he fired down the inside completely, well, not recklessly, but certainly too late on the brakes, and he completely got that wrong. So Jefferson and Douglas pretty close together at the moment for 10th as well as Torrigiani, who's trying to come through on both of them here. We'll see whether that happens, although there are only 6 minutes to go. Can Messer do anything now in this battle here? He's trying and trying again, but at the moment, this is just leading to nothing. Trippett has not finished inside the top 5 all season yet either, certainly not on the podium. This is what happened, by the way, to Torrigiani. So late on the brakes, way too late. I appreciate his ambition, but that was too ambitious.
He has gone for air. I think out of all the drivers, he's going to get the award for the most airtime at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. There's no doubt about that. It's the second time he's had issues with the curbs. Looks like in the background, some battling between Dave Douglas. He's moved up into the single-digit positions, getting by Josh Jeppesen there, so more issues for them. John Kaplan still in 8th with Antonio da Silva in 7th, Johan Nye in 6th. Ed Trippett, though, has the world of hurt coming his way, it looks like, from the 56. Vernon Messer has 5 minutes to make this move.
Yeah, certainly does. He's used far more than that so far, I've got to say. So chances of it happening again is pretty low, I would say. Rob Cohen now 12th place after his incident, by the way. Douglas and Jefferson back into the top 10. Another look down the inside from Messer. And sort of half space given by Trippett. He knows he doesn't really have to give full space on the inside line there because he just knows, and he's confident now, he's comfortable with Messer being so close behind him. Meanwhile, Torrigiani and Jefferson go side by side. That was at the final section of corners, I think. Or was it maybe at Moss corner? That was the final section of corners. He's made it work. He's shown that it is possible. There's his previous attempt. This latest one was a lot more successful.
Yes, it was. Finally, this is a man driving with his heart on his sleeve, no doubt. He's seeing red and seeing the barrier. No, he's seeing the front of Josh Jeppesen, and there's massive contact and disaster strikes with 4 minutes left to go. That is going to be, who was that arriving on the scene of the crime? Jeppesen. But either way, Jeppesen and Torrigiani getting involved, and who was that? Hillman. Hillman was the one that just drove on through. Yeah.
Andrew Hillman now inside the top 10. Jefferson smashes into the side of him, and this is going to be a drop week now for Jefferson. So bizarrely, he is going to be the series leader at the end of the day. However, it's only going to be a few points, and it's certainly not going to be based on today. There's Torrigiani going for a trip in the... Oh, it almost looks like he wanted to walk in the woods there, and now he's back onto the circuit again. Unfortunately, he's having to come back to pit lane with a front right wheel, which is not rotating. Johan Nye couldn't get to the end of the race by the looks of things. Had to make an early stop after a bit of damage, and has had to come in for a splash of 3 more laps of fuel as well. So he's going to drop down now. Does that mean Britt Danley perhaps is going to get onto the podium here, or is the pit stop not quite going to be long enough for that here for Johan Nye? We will wait and see on that. Meanwhile, let's have another look at what happened here. Low fuel, again at turn 2. We spoke about it earlier. Torrigiani tried to save it. It snapped back the other way, straight into the series leader, Josh Jefferson.
And just to be honest, that is Torrigiani overdriving the car. We've seen it all night. That front right suspension is disconnected, and it looks like, was that, unfortunately, I think a disconnect as well from Josh Jefferson. No, he's into pit lane. I think it was a return to the garage, though, and he'll be in there for a while. Positions plummeted down the order. We'll get another view here of Torrigiani. This is him going off circuit into the wall, and look at that wheel. He's trying his best to turn left, but there is literally no possibility to do so. He only has one wheel turning that Porsche.
Yeah, and that was not the right side to be turning either when you're turning left there, because the front right was absolutely toast. Well, again, you know, he's so entertaining to watch, isn't he, Torrigiani, but also incident prone, I think it's fair to say as well, which is a real shame. You said it at the time, he has been overdriving that car pretty much all night. This is a driver who hasn't been. Just less than 2 minutes to go, and it looks like Alan Hales is on his way to a race victory, and we're on our way to a third different winner in 3 races, which is going to be good. Another 3 drivers as well who haven't been on the podium yet this season. George Poulos hasn't even been in the top 10 yet this season either, so we're going to have had 3 races and 8 different drivers in the top 3 positions here. Only Josh Jefferson has finished on the podium in 2 races out of 3 so far.
Truly an incredible championship so far, Ewan. And as we get ready to head over to Silverstone as well, I personally cannot wait. As I mentioned before, it's my all-time favorite track. I love Silverstone with all my heart, and seeing these Porsches race there is going to be just eventful as can be. It might not be as eventful as tonight, which is in a good way. The Silverstone obviously being a little bit flatter of a circuit, you don't see as many incidents here, but you do get to see battles like this. And here for P5, this is going to be Marco Souza looking to hold on to P5 from Antonio da Silva in the background. And Antonio da Silva had that incident earlier on, fell down the order, and again another driver with a massive recovery throughout this night.
Yeah, there's been so many of those stories of drivers coming back through the field. Oh, has Messer finally done it? Vernon Messer may have finally managed it. Oh, he has done. Out of turn number 2 and into turn 3. Vernon Messer looks like he's finally made this move over Ed Trippett. Well, if that is the case and it is going to stick, then he's going to have fully deserved it and fully earned it, that's for sure. Dave Douglas has had to come into pit lane by the looks of it as well. He's underfueled, and so he's had to come in again. This is what happened. A slight mistake from Trippett through turn 2. Vernon Messer didn't need a second opportunity. Rips round the outside through turn 3. Says thank you very much, and he's finally up to 3rd place.
Zero hesitation from that overtake, and here Alan Hales crosses the line with 6 seconds left on the clock to begin his final lap here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And Ewan, what a race it has been. George Poulos, probably the driver of the day, I think, for everyone. He has gained the most positions in the top 10, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He has gained from 11th up to 2nd, so 9 gained. Marco Souza, he's gained quite a few in the fact that he's fell down the order and had to re-overtake. That's a similar story for Dave Douglas, Andrew Hillman, Johan Nye, he came out in 9th, after that pit stop, so not too bad, all things considered. But it's been a heck of a night for some of these drivers, and a drop round, I don't want to say well-earned, but a drop round certainly for some.
Certainly required for some, that is for sure. At the end of the day, it's been a difficult afternoon for so many as the white flag waves. Just Souza here, just trying to hang on to even a top 5 now. Just Silva again looking here through turn 4. He's on the defensive here, Souza, for sure. Now in towards Moss Corner, up on the inside. He's going to hang on this time around. We'll check in again in a few moments' time, because through the final corners comes Alan Hales. And here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Alan Hales is going to be a race winner here in the Porsche Club America Sim Racing Series. It is the challenge class for Hales, just ahead by 4 seconds ahead of George Poulos, who was really chasing down towards the end and doing a fantastic job in that 2nd position and very nearly getting there to the race victory. Can Da Silva get through here for 5th position on Marcus Souza, who is just trying to hang on for the moment? It looks like Souza is going to make it. He's just taken a slight defensive line through the final corner. Here comes Da Silva with a run to the line. It's too short of a run to the line. He can't quite do it. And Souza hangs on to 5th place.
A brilliant finish all the way around. Ed Trippett takes home 4th. Vernon Messer in P3. George Poulos for 2nd. And our leader, Alan Hales. Hales over Canadian Tire Motorsports Park here for the Season 13 Challenge Class Round 3. Britt Danley just slid into the top 10 behind Johan Nye, and Andrew Hillman. Not a terrible recovery there. Actually, no, Andrew Hillman started well out of the top 10 and had quite a race himself.
Yeah, we'll check through the results in a few moments' time, but Britt Danley's just been involved in a battle with Dave Douglas on the last lap as well. A late pass there for Danley over Douglas. Those two are 2nd and 3rd in the standings, by the way. So a pretty important one there for Danley. But anyway, we'll get to that in a few moments' time, because it looks like Douglas on the results is back ahead again. We'll wait and see. Alan Hales has taken the race victory ahead of George Poulos by 2.8 seconds, with Vernon Messer working so hard for that 3rd place, eventually getting it ahead of Ed Trippett. Marcus Souza hangs on from Antonio da Silva, with John Kaplan finishing 7th. Andrew Hillman, as you said, finishes 8th, last driver within a minute of the win. Johan Knight finishes 9th after a 2-stop race, and Dave Douglas, according to that, is finishing 10th. I've got him in 11th, but anyway, we'll figure that out in a moment. Britt Danley in 11th place, ahead of Evan Barbier in the last spot on the lead lap. Kevin Hammond, the pole sitter, finishing a lap down in 13th. What a big surprise for him. Robert Gallis and Jack Stevenson ran at the top 15, with Carl Bess and Rob Cohen joining them a lap down. Brad Dunn and Jeffrey Bock finished 2 down. Andy McCune 3 down. He had a pretty big spin and crash down at turn 2, unfortunately, but he wasn't the only one. Patricio Torrigiani and Josh Jefferson crashed on the latter laps, of course, finishing 3 laps down at the end. Lisa Eskridge 5 down. down after a couple of spins. Antonio Giovincenzo and Aubrey are finishing a very long way back indeed in the field. Let's have a chat to Alan Hales, who has taken race victory here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park tonight. Congratulations, Alan, on the race victory. George was really catching you at the end, 2.8 seconds at the line, but was there ever a stage in that race where you were feeling properly under pressure?
I mean, I was just trying to keep it smooth out there. I've had practice sessions where turn two's been a nemesis for me, and I was really just trying to be conservative and keep the X's down and just keep it smooth.
I mean, how difficult was that to achieve? It's easier said than done, of course, keeping it smooth round here. We saw so many spins at turn two. How were you able to avoid that?
Just being conservative on turn two entry and then waiting till the car set good before I started accelerating, and that really helped keep it planted all the way through.
And ambitions for the season? This is your first win of the season, of course, and first podium of the season as well, after two decent rounds to start with at Daytona and Portimao. What is the aim for the season?
Honestly, my goal this season is clean driver award. Anything beyond that is just happiness. But clean driver is my true goal. I want to keep it clean and be consistent out there, be safe, and have fun with the other guys.
All right, we look forward to seeing it. Congratulations, Alan, on the win tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, PCA Sim Racing, and thank you, Kevin, or my teammate in Cat 5 Racing. He's been really helpful. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much. Alan Hales, the winner here tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. George Poulos finished in second place after coming right the way from the midfield in qualifying. Congratulations, George, on a great run through the field. Just how were you able to make overtaking look so easy around this circuit when so many others were finding it so difficult? Hello, George. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Sorry. Yeah, just tell us a little bit about some of your overtakes tonight and how you were able to manage it when so many others were struggling.
I would say it was less overtake and more just being in the right place when somebody made a mistake.
It's very modest of you, but I would say you did make some overtakes as well in that one. I mean, it's a difficult circuit, as we know. We've just talked about. You were able to make up so many positions and end up finishing in second. Is this a circuit you particularly enjoy driving? How much experience did you have with it prior to this race?
I definitely enjoy this track. We've had a couple races here in prior seasons, and I do enjoy it pretty well. And one of our DE instructors, this is his home track, so we have some good insight on the track as well.
And this is your first top 10 of the season as well. Is there any goals you've got for the season?
Consistency.
All right. We look forward to seeing it. A couple of weeks' time, we'll see you again, George. Thanks for coming to chat to us, and congratulations on second.
Yep. Thank you, and thank you to my master crew.
Thanks very much, George Poulos there in second place here tonight in the challenge class, just ahead of Vernon Messer, who now joins us from third as well. Welcome in, Vernon. Good to have you with us. I mean, what a titanic battle between yourself and Ed Trippett towards the end of that race. We were watching you very closely, I've got to say. Oh, he's got it again. I'm going to ask him how to tell us a bit about his view on that battle. Hopefully he can stay with us this time around. Vernon, can you hear us? Oh no, he can't. He doesn't want to chat to us, clearly. He keeps going back again to the waiting room. I'll try once more. I feel like I'm dragging him away from somewhere he doesn't want to be. We'll try again. Hello, Vernon, can you hear us? Nope, doesn't sound like it, unfortunately, so we might have to leave that one, unfortunately, this time around. But what a great battle it was between he and Ed Trippett at the end there. A thoroughly enjoyable one to watch, so hopefully we can chat to him at a future round. That's just about it from us here tonight. A good round of the championship here, Mike. Actually a bit unexpected in some of the ways that raced in some ways, but the technical challenge was there, the good battles were there as well, and some great individual performances up and down the grid.
It really was, and to be honest, I was expecting the unexpected tonight. That's Canadian Tire Motorsports in a nutshell. Anything can happen in racing, and it normally does, and this track is the epitome of exactly that. The elevation, the understeer, the difficulty these drivers had to face tonight, and it sets them up perfectly for Silverstone on February 27th at 9 p.m. That's, of course, going to be the challenge class. Once more, we, of course, have a Sport, Club, and Pro as well, and that'll be starting you in next week. And again, my favorite track. Definitely, if you guys are interested, you love the Porsches, do tune in, add that to your calendar, because it is gonna be electric.
Yep, 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday and Thursday every week. We arrive with a Porsche Club of America Sim Racing Series race. So make sure you tune in. As you say, next Wednesday will be the first round of racing, and that will be for the pro class. Meanwhile, here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, it's a fantastic day for racing, but more specifically, a fantastic day for Alan Hales, who's taken round 3 of our championship. 8 different drivers on the podium at the end of the first 3 races. That is absolutely fantastic and very encouraging indeed for the rest of our season. We'll be back with more Porsche Club of America racing next Wednesday from 9 p.m. Eastern time. I very much hope you'll join us then. But for now, from myself, Ian O'Leary, Mike Naz alongside me, and Ramiro Augustin Cisneros, who's been pushing the buttons behind the scenes, it's goodbye from Canada, and we'll see you next week in Silverstone.